Guys, well, today's the day I'm going to install the front-facing camera on the Jeep Gladiator, and this will be a step-by-step on how to go ahead and do the install. Alright, so step one in installing the camera is going to be removing this bezel right here, and the reason we're going to do that is because we're going to need to get behind the radio so we can gain access to plug the camera in. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. Since I am filming by myself here, I probably won't be able to show it. It's just going to be too hard to do it with one hand, but basically I'm going to slide a tool back behind here and pop that out. Alright guys, so I've got this loose, and let me tell you what, when you get your pry bar behind there and start to loosen it up, it's gonna feel like it doesn't want to come, but if you can get your fingers behind this piece a little bit here, once it's pulled back a little bit, you're gonna have to give it a nice tug back. This it's really on with all these little clips on here. Fortunately, I didn't break or lose any of these clips that are on here, so that's a good start, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and remove the two connectors here. There's one here and there's one here on the back of this panel, and get it out of the way. Okay, now that I've got the control panel out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and there's two Phillips head screws here and here that I'm going to have to remove, and then we can remove this trim piece to gain access to the radio. Okay, so I've got the screws removed and I've got this loosened up. So again, I kind of pulled on it pretty hard and then it just came out. Luckily, again, I didn't lose any of the clips on the back, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that down here. Alright, so now there are 4 screws holding the radio in. These are also Phillips head screws. There's 2 down here, 2 up top. I'm going to go ahead and remove those. I've got the screws out. I'm going to go ahead and remove the radio from here, and that's going to allow us to gain access to the connector on the back. And then what we're going to have to do is open up the connector, and then we're going to have to put these 2 little pins into the connector, and that's going to allow us to connect the camera to the radio there. So in the directions, it tells you exactly where to pin these out at on the connector. Okay, I've got the connector disconnected from the back of the radio here, and that happens by pulling up on this lever here. So it's inside there. You pull up on this lever and it comes out really easily. So next, what I'm going to have to do is remove this red trim piece here so that we can gain access and install the new pin. Okay, so now that I have this red lock raised on here, I can insert the pins where they need to go on here per the directions. So in order to raise this up, you kind of have to get a little very thin screwdriver in between the connector and the red part, and kind of just pry up very gently on it all around on the ends and the sides here, and then it'll eventually kind of pop up here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and install these 2 pins in the locations it shows in the directions. Okay, I've got the pins inside the connector now. There's a couple discrepancies that I've found in the directions. One is that for my year, which is a 2020, they're saying yellow goes in pin 21, black in 22, and they show a diagram, but in the diagram it's actually showing in row 30. So this is the 10 row, this is the 20 row, this is the 30 row, and this is the 40 row. So I think they just have the pin numbers mixed up, but it's pointing to the right spots. The other thing too that they don't explain is that the pin can only go in here in the back here one way, and it should slide in very easily, and it'll make kind of a click or a popping noise once it's locked in. So that's two things that they don't really tell you about. I guess they figure you have to figure it out on your own or something, but anyway, I figured I'd tell you guys. Once they click in, you should be able to pull back on them and they won't come back out again. If you're trying to force it in, it doesn't feel like it's going in, or it's going in really tight, then you don't have the pin turned the right direction. Okay, I've got the radio temporarily sitting back up in place again because another thing that they don't tell you about is that you're going to need to remove this panel as well, because we're going to tap into the power from this cigarette lighter here. So I'm going to have to take this screw off, it looks like, and I can already see there's some more clips down in there that I'll have to pull this back out. And then there's a harness that goes in there, kind of in between, and that'll provide power. So I'll go ahead and get that done. Alright, I've got that piece out, so just gonna disconnect this connector here. Looks like there's a little blue clip on I need to press in on. There we go. So now I'm going to plug the harness in. I'm going to plug this into there, and then plug this back into the cigarette lighter. Alright, so we're almost to the point of testing it out. So I'm going to plug this into the connector that we just pinned into the main connector for the U-Connect, and then I'm going to plug the other end of this harness here into the actual camera. And once we go ahead and do that, the next step is to activate the cargo cam with the Taser Mini, and we should be able to test it. And from there, once we know it's working good, then I'll go ahead and route all of this wiring here through the hood and underneath the dash here. Okay, I've got the Taser Mini set up. I went in the settings and got it all set up for the cargo cam. So now we're gonna go ahead and test to make sure everything's working okay with the camera. So we're gonna go to cargo cam right there on the screen. Cool. Alright, so it seems to be working. Alright, so now that we know that the camera is working, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and wire through the firewall and into the vehicle, and then we'll set the camera in place. So now back to the inside here. We need to route this wiring through here. So I think what I'm gonna do is bring it through here, on top of this metal piece, and then it should come out through here, and I can run down underneath the dash here and kind of over to the firewall. I'm going to show you where the wiring is going to come out at. This is the brake fluid reservoir, and the booster's right behind it here. There's a little black cap right next to the booster here, right here, and it looks like from the inside it unscrews, so I'm going to have to try and mess with this to get this cap out, but that's where we're going to route the wiring through at. I'll drill a hole in the middle of the cap, and then we'll have to seal it up somehow with either a grommet or some sealant, something like that. Okay, I've got the wiring pulled through the hole down there. I don't know if you could see it or not, where it's coming through. The hole where that plug was, and I was incorrect about the plug. It looks like it kind of can screw off, but there's actually two little tabs. There's one on this side and one on this side that you can kind of press in with your fingers from the inside of the vehicle. You just kind of got to get up underneath the dash there, and you could easily kind of press each one of these tabs in. If you have a flashlight, then it's easy to see and you'll know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and drill this little center hole out enough to fit one of these connectors here through it. Got my hole drilled in the grommet here. I'm going to go ahead and wire this through there, get that set, and then we're going to run this wiring down the side here, and we're going to remove these little clips here, and that'll allow us to pull this forward enough to kind of get the wiring through and ultimately to the front of the grill here. Alright, so I've got the camera ready to go. It's just hanging there. I ran the wiring underneath here over the top of the headlight here. You can see where I wrapped it up with some electrical tape there, and then I ran it down next to the AC line and brought it up, brought it through the windshield washer fluid underneath there and brought it up here, and then I ran the line inside of the clip, both of these clips, which is for the windshield washer fluid line that runs there, as per a recommendation in the instructions, and then of course ran it down, and it's going into the cap here. So next I'll need to silicone around this cap here with the wire, and then we can put the cap back in. Alright, I got everything straightened out. The camera is in there. The hardest part was rotating the camera and getting it straight, and it's not very secure in there, so I have a feeling I'm going to be needing to adjust it, you know, as it vibrates around. In the instructions it says that once it's popped in that it won't move around, but that must be for the JL camera. The JT camera is different, and there's actually a little ring around the outside of the lens that screws and tightens down, so the directions are not correct for it. Anyway, I got it as straight as I could. Everything buttoned back up in here. Cochem, and there she is. It's not perfectly straight, but it's good enough for now. I'm tired of messing with it, so hope this helps you guys if you're going to install a front cargo cam on yours. Till next time.